If you're trying to decide between Camas and Ridgefield, Washington, this is a decision that can look very similar online, but will feel very different once you're living there. Because on paper, both cities check a lot of boxes. They're both popular, they're both growing, both attract a lot of people moving into Clark County, but if you choose the wrong one for your lifestyle, your budget, or your daily routine, you're going to feel that decision fast. Camas and Ridgefield get compared all the time. Over the last couple of years, both have become hotspots in Clark County, and a lot of buyers narrow their search down to just these two. But even though they have a lot of similarities, they really do offer two different living experiences. I'm Dave Sobolik, a top producing realtor here in Oregon and Southwest Washington, and we make videos about luxury living in these areas. So in this video, we're gonna break down the biggest differences between Camas and Ridgefield. We're talking traffic, growth, affordability, appreciation, community, and lifestyle. So by the end, you're gonna have a much clearer understanding of which community might be a better fit for you. At the highest level, the biggest difference between Camas and Ridgefield is this. Camas is very well established, where Ridgefield feels much more like it's in expansion mode. And Camas has been a major name in Clark County for years. It's had more time to build, identity, reputation, and a stronger foundation. Well, Ridgefield actually has history too. Ridgefield feels more like a city that is actively growing into its next chapter. Population-wise, Camas has about 27,000 people, where Ridgefield has about 15,000 people. So right away, these two places feel very different. But here's where it gets interesting. Being more established is not necessarily better, and growing faster is not automatically a better choice either. It literally depends on what kind of environment you want to live in. If you want something more proven, rooted, or built out, that may point you one direction. If you like the energy of a place that is growing, changing, and expanding quickly, then that may point you in another direction. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest day-to-day factors, traffic and accessibility. Overall, neither Camas nor Ridgefield is terrible when it comes to traffic, especially compared to bigger metro areas. But if we're comparing the two, Ridgefield is probably going to be the place where you're going to run into more friction. And a big reason is how Ridgefield is laid out. So because Ridgefield falls along the I-5 corridor, there's actually three primary ways to get from I-5 into Ridgefield. And because those are the primary access points, they can get backed up, and that can cause a lot of friction when you're going away from home or on your way back to home. On top of that, Ridgefield is in major expansion mode. So there's road work happening, detours, and ongoing infrastructure changes. Camas tends to feel a little bit more flexible. You have access on the east side from the gorge, you have downtown access, and you have west access off of 192nd, all off of freeways that are not congested and flow pretty smoothly. From Camas, if your goal is to head into Portland, it's about a 15-minute drive, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depending on traffic. From Ridgefield, it can be at least 25 minutes, and it's a straight shot right down I-5, going over the I-5 bridge, which does get congested quite a bit. Whereas Camas, you actually have two access points. You can choose to go over the 205 bridge and get into the east on the east side, or you can go all the way down to I-5 and go over the I-5 bridge. So you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you want to get into Portland from Camas versus Ridgefield. And this all matters more than you think, because what seems like a small location difference on the map really makes a difference in your lifestyle. We're talking about your commute, your errands, your flexibility, whether you want to leave the neighborhood or not. That is where the comparison really becomes real. If we're talking about growth, Ridgefield is absolutely growing faster than Camas. You can see it everywhere. The minute you drive into Ridgefield, you can see commercial development. We have major shopping centers. We have Costco. We have national chains like In-N-Out Burger. We have established casinos like A&A. You name it, it's literally coming to Ridgefield. So that every single day, as you're driving in and out, you're gonna see something a little bit different. And with all that construction, it does add some of that additional congestion to your traffic flow and your commute times. As a result, Ridgefield definitely has momentum. Now, Camas is still growing as well, but it's much more established, and there's much more individual pockets of areas that are growing within Camas. Where Ridgefield, it's a sprawl. It's growing, it's expanding fast and rapidly and ever changing. Camas feels more strategic and layered with an established identity. But the real question is not which city is growing faster, but what is the kind of growth that you're okay to live with? Do you want that fast, ever-changing expansion, or do you want something that feels a little bit more established, quality control, layered, and predictable? That's why growth is not necessarily positive or negative. It's what is it that works best for you and the lifestyle that you want to lead. Let's talk about affordability. And this is where the gap really starts to split up between Camas and Ridgefield. We'll start with Ridgefield. So again, it's growing, right? You have a lot more land, it's flatter terrain, so the cost of building a home and the number of new homes going up is much greater and much more accessible than what you have in Camas. So as a result, you have an easier barrier of entry into the price point in Ridgefield. Now it's higher than other areas in the metro market, but you're gonna sit in around $600,000 to $700,000 as an entry point for a nice home in Ridgefield, Washington. Now you transfer over to Camas. Camas does have more of an exclusive feel, right? It's established neighborhoods. You have very little pockets where new build is going in. And where that new build is going in, well, it's expensive, right? We're getting into the millions of dollars in new neighborhoods right now. And so to clarify, the average entry point for Camas is closer to $800,000 to $850,000 for a home. Almost $100,000 to $200,000 depending on the neighborhood just to get into Ridgefield versus Camas. And to clarify the housing, let's talk more specifically the luxury housing in Ridgefield versus Camas. So luxury housing in Ridgefield truly is actually grand estates on 5 acres or more. There's a few new builds, but they're more established homes on acreage. What's happening in Ridgefield is those 5, 10, 20 acres are now getting bought out by developers, and you're seeing multiple homes on 7,500 square foot lots in Ridgefield. So luxury itself is a little bit more established homes on acreage. Where you get to Camas, for the similar type of price point for a home on acreage, you're getting a home in the core of Camas. Probably has a nice view, probably has some exclusivity, but you're gonna be a much smaller lot, newer build, and a similar price point. So what does those numbers look like? Well, luxury in Camas, you're really getting into like the $2 million north market. And that's gonna be a home. Some will be on acreage, but a lot of them will be in more established neighborhoods or newer neighborhoods, smaller lots. Price point for Ridgefield, you're gonna be at that $2 million plus range, but you're gonna have a big home on at least 5 acres. So do you wanna live out in acreage or do you wanna be more in the city? Those are two big differences. And you have to decide what's gonna be the best for you and your lifestyle. And this is where you really need to get honest about what is gonna be the best fit for you. In Ridgefield, you are gonna get a little bit more space and land for your dollar, where in Camas, you're gonna pay a little bit more for a smaller space, but you're paying for establishment and reputation. So let's get a little bit more personal and talk about the communities, because this is really where they're very close in comparison. So Camas, for example, as we mentioned, it's established, right? Fantastic school system. You've got the amenities, it's established, right? You have sports playing fields, you have all the things that you would come to expect from an established city. Well, Ridgefield, fantastic school system as well. The difference though, the schools, because it's growing so fast, they're newer. You have amazing sports complex, you have great trail systems, you have amazing outdoor lifestyle feel as well. So really when it comes to education and lifestyle and activity levels, both have something really great to offer. It's a matter of which one's gonna be best for you and your family. So continuing on with community and lifestyle, let's talk about nature. Ridgefield runs along the Columbia River, and it's kind of a Columbia River tributary, if you will. So you have water access, which is really nice. You have a boat launch area, so you can get on and paddleboard and kayak and even get your boat down in there, which is awesome. And it has a decent trail system, but what's really known for Ridgefield is the wildlife preserve, right? It is a preservation area, right? So there's trails, it's established, it's great viewing of wildlife, but it's more of a natural setting. Where you flip over to Camas, you have more established and thought intentional trail system, right? The Heritage Trail runs along 3 miles along the Lacamas Lake. Then you connect up with the Round Lake Park here, which has another 5-6 miles of trails, which are more switchback in nature. You have 2 lakes in Camas, so it's great for boating, fishing, paddleboard, kayak, you name it. There's a lot of mountain biking that happens in Camas as well. So lifestyle and outdoor living is great in both, but it's just a little bit different. So again, it comes back to what lifestyle fits you and the way you live yourself. So is it better to live in Ridgefield or Camas? Well, it really comes down to what matters most to you. If you want a community that feels established, polished, has great appreciation, and is closer in, then Camas is the location for you. If you're looking for a city that is in growth mode, you have opportunity to get in early, see some good appreciation, you like the excitement of something new is happening each and every day, then Ridgefield may be the right place for you. Neither one is universally better, they're just better for different people. And that's really the key takeaway. You're not choosing between 2 cities, You're choosing between two key lifestyles and which one is a better fit for you. So a lot of people think that this decision comes down to price, location, and resale value. And those things do matter, but what really shapes your experience is how a place feels when you're there. You know, what's your routine, your drive time, your community, your weekends, your pace of life. That's why this comparison matters more than it might seem at first. At the end of the day, Camas and Ridgefield are two of the strongest options right now for living. It comes down to really your price that you're gonna pay for where you're gonna live, what does that lifestyle look like, and what does your daily routine look like as well. You know, Ridgefield, a little lower entry point of pricing to get into, has great lifestyle resources, and it's really growing and expanding. Camas, more established, closer in, but you're gonna pay for it, right? So there's two differences. Neither one's a wrong option. The right choice is for you and what fits your lifestyle best. So if you're considering moving to Camas or Ridgefield, Washington, and you have some questions and you're wondering which one might be a better choice for you, I'd love to be a resource. I'm Dave Sobolik, and I'll see you on the next video.